Hey everybody, I'm hanging out at the Toronto Raw Vegan Festival and I just met this amazing woman. Her name is Lee and I want you to meet her because she's awesome and she totally embodies what I talk about in my videos. So here she is. Hi Lee.
Hi Tim.
How are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Okay, we were having a conversation a few minutes ago about getting started. Like you talked about using a hand bike because you have trouble running and cycling.
Yeah.
And you said, well, you know, I'm just getting started. And my comment to that was, that's the hardest part, getting started.
Getting started, yeah.
Once you started, you're in motion. So what is it for you that got you started? How did you get started?
Well, I just kept listening to my own excuses of all the things that I can't do because of my disability. And
what is your disability?
well, I have a prosthetic, so I lost my leg 5 years ago, and it really affected my ability to exercise and do what I used to do all the time. So I was like building all these excuses of all these things that I couldn't do, and then one day it just hit me and I thought, oh, there's still all these things that I can do, and I need to focus on that instead of what I can't do. So just kind of trying to inspire myself to get active and figure out what I can do.
Now, was there a time when you wanted to give up, you wanted to quit, you were feeling sorry for yourself?
Yeah.
There was a lot of that?
There was a lot of that, and then also being in pain. It's hard to motivate yourself when you're hurting or you're trying to heal, so you're trying not to put pressure on your body, but all that does is just make you gain more weight and feel more tired, and so you get yourself stuck in this kind of downward spiral. So I'm trying to get out of it now.
So it sounds like you are getting out of it. You've already started doing hand bike.
Yeah, I started the hand bike thanks to a couple friends of mine who have been doing that hand biking for years, and just invited me out one day. And you know, I'm lucky where I live. There's lots of beautiful bike paths that we can go on, and we're just taking these adventures together now. So it's nice. Yeah.
So besides your friends, what else was it that changed the tide for you? Was there a moment?
Yeah, there kind of was a moment where I was just, I think I just saw a picture of myself and I noticed that I had gained weight, and I don't remember thinking that I was that large or anything, and my clothes were getting tighter and I was just having a hard time controlling it with food, which is, you know, I'm a big believer that food can really control a lot of your health, but realizing it's not enough, and trying to find ways to get that activity level up. And so yeah, it kind of hit me maybe about a month ago, where I decided that I needed to make a big change in my life. And, so far the only thing I've noticed is my t-shirts are tighter because I'm getting more arm muscles. So,
yeah, no kidding, right? You're gonna get ripped on top.
Yeah, so I guess it's a good thing to happen, to feel stronger and have more energy and stuff.
Now you said something to me earlier when we first started talking, something about not focusing on what you don't have, but focusing on what you do have. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean that's a hard one because I think anyone that's involved in any kind of traumatic injury, they're surrounded by people who kind of start to feel sorry for them. So it's easy to feel sorry for yourself and just kind of associate yourself with that disability, and trying to come to terms with the disability and realize that yeah, there's certain things that you can't do, but there's still 90% of things that you can, and just kind of switching gears and just finding out, creating this I'm no longer a victim feeling about myself, and just taking control over who I am now and what I can do now, and kind of celebrating that.
My thing is that I deal with depression.
Right.
Which, is a significant mental disability in many regards.
It is, yeah.
And one of the things that I've had to do is embrace the fact that I deal with that. Not ignore it, not pretend it's not there, not think, oh, everything's great, I can do whatever I want, but really acknowledge that this is something that I have to deal with on a daily basis in order to get into action. Is that something that you've had to do as well? Like embrace the fact that you are who you are now?
Yes, totally. And even the whole concept of depression, is so skewed in the medical system, where as soon as you start to say you're feeling down or low, and they take out the prescription pad, and next thing you know, you have all these side effects from drugs that, you know, and sometimes it's natural to feel low and sad, and other times it's natural to feel high, and humans go through cycles, and, you know, depression is a big thing too, because when a lot of people who have gone through traumatic events have like the post-traumatic stress disorder, and that's misdiagnosed as depression a lot, where it's just learning how to deal with anxious situations and learning how to move on from traumatic events in your life.
Now, did you go through any kind of therapy, or was there a psychiatrist trying to prescribe antidepressants after your accident?
Oh yeah, I basically went to see my family doctor after a couple months of feeling sorry for myself, and, you know, drinking a lot of wine and eating a lot of chocolate, and confessed to him, you know, told him that I've been going to drive-thrus and ordering pizza and all that stuff, and I figured he would whip me back into shape and tell me to stop doing that, and he didn't mention anything about the food, or just took out his prescription pad and wrote a prescription for antidepressants. That was a trigger for me when I was driving home that day and thinking, he doesn't care about what I ate. You know, how can he not care about that? He's a doctor. He should care about that. You know, coming to all these big realizations about the pharmaceutical industry and the food industry, and that's what kind of triggered me to start my business. Was instead of going on the pills, I just did 30 days raw vegan, and, you know, felt so much better, lost weight, my mood was lifted, it was almost like I was a new person, and that's what inspired me to start my business. You know, that was 4 years ago, but then I still struggled with activity, and that was something that was a bigger hump for me. Like, food was easier than dealing with how to sweat and how to, you know, stay active and inspired to do that.
So do you eat a raw vegan diet now still?
I eat as much as I can, but I do eat cooked foods. You know, it's always a work in progress, diet, nutrition, and I do the best I can. So, yeah.
And what got you inspired to change your diet?
Actually, this is 4 years ago, and I googled natural cures for depression, and I came up with Shazzy and David Wolfe, and I spent like 3 days just like obsessively watching every video that they have out there, and that's what inspired me. I have to say, they're definitely two mentors of mine that I would love to meet one day, and just, you know, they have a big influence on my business.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Lee, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. Thank you for what you do too.